Hey guys, welcome to my video about the Zillion Dashboard. The image you see in front of you is a typical output from the Zillion Dashboard alert system. And so it's this magic clouds, right, that you're really getting my attention. These red and green areas combined with the buy-sell signals all look really fantastic, but does it work? This video hopefully will be able to answer your questions about it, and also we can have a look at what is behind the paywall essentially. So I have access to the Zillion software. I wrote a review about it and I talked about it a week or two ago. I know a couple of people have purchased it since then. I think there's another webinar coming up. I'll leave a link in the description. It's this one. It's happening on March 23rd at 7 p.m. It's talking about the Zillion software in more detail from the founders and the programmers basically of this program. So the Zillion Dashboard is really cool for a lot of reasons. The first one is it's a dashboard. It's not an actual add-on. So things like GPS Trader that I've used, they all require you to integrate with a broker, but this one is a standalone thing. It's more like the PowerX optimizer that I've reviewed in the past from Marcus Heitkotter. But it's completely different in terms of the way it works with the algorithms and things. But the idea is similar in that you log into a dashboard that looks just like this. This is the actual dashboard. And then there's a plethora of lots and lots of information, so I was hoping to go through some of it. It might take a couple of videos because I don't want to make a video that's too long, but we'll go through some of it to see what you get. And then the link to this webinar, which is happening this Thursday, so I'll put that in the description below and you can go and check it out as well. And I think they do a special offer at the end of that on how to buy this thing. Alright, so let's get started. So what is the Zillion Dashboard? Well, the Zillion Dashboard was basically designed by this guy Jeff Tompkins. I'll leave a link, by the way, in the description to this full review, which I'll continue to update as I use the Zillion Dashboard. This is Jeff Tompkins right here. He has over 2 decades of experience in the stock and options and futures trading world. He has a lot of credentials. I mean, he has a degree in finance from Santa Clara University. He's also a hedge fund manager at Altos Capital. Don't know a lot about that, but it's fairly well respected from what I can see. He's also hired a lot of really smart guys. As you'll see in this webinar, if you go to it on Thursday, he has a really smart PhD software engineer that works on this, that basically joins in the webinar and tells you a bit about it, which is fairly unusual, right? Normally these things are kind of behind the scenes. You don't really know who's programming it. You certainly don't get to, see them in a webinar or whatever. Usually there's just a face to the whole thing, and then that's all you really get. So the big question is, so to give you a high-level overview of what the Zillion software really is it's basically a swing trading system. So you can scan for stocks and you have these buy and sell signals, which they call their trade trend system. And then there's also some market commentary and predictions and analysis all in one place. And so what makes it different from like a lot of the other stuff out there is that they have a way to basically narrow down all of the thousands of stocks and ETFs and everything out there down to just like a handful that have the highest probability of success. I think it's also worth pointing out 2 main things at this point. This program or dashboard looks at stocks, ETFs, forex and crypto, which is also fairly unusual. Normally you don't get all of that in one program. And second of all, this is primarily at the moment a swing trading system. The only thing you can do is look at daily charts. This is not intraday. There is talk about them making that at some point, like going forward, but currently this is a swing trading system with the daily charts. And so that's important to know because a lot of people are not interested in swing trading, for example, and so they want to make sure that that it's something. I want to make sure that it's something you guys would find useful. So if you're not looking for a swing trading thing, then this might not be for you. They talk about being able to predict when something will happen 3 days before it does in advance. This is considered to be like a pre-signal. So whether I think that's a good idea, but really most people would be looking to wait for a confirmation signal. I think as traders that's something that we kind of are trained to do, that sure, you can predict something 3 days in advance, and I'll show you that in a few minutes, but at the same time you often wait for confirmation. So good marketing here, whether in reality it's that useful that you can find something 3 days in advance, because it may never confirm, right? It might signal that something's going to go up. Within the next day or two it might just not be confirmed. So they use this 3 days in advance quite a lot for marketing purposes. I'll show you all this in a few minutes in the actual program. Just want to go through some of this review first. So a couple of things I really like. I think this idea that the signals don't repaint, so they're all included in the track record and they don't change, which is good. Sometimes people complain that these types of programs do this. This one doesn't, from what I can see. It has got a fantastic track record, so it has predicted every major market sell-off back until the stock market crash, looking at the back data, which is good. The team behind it, I think they have a lot of credibility. Like, a lot of them are PhD engineers and scientists and traders, and I think the built-in visuals of the Divergence Cloud and the trade trend indicator are both appealing and accurate from what I can see so far, and I'll show you some of those results as well. So they have this basic idea that, you know, you can get these different parts to this whole thing. So what they try and do is they have this results table here, right? So they can say, first of all, you need to look at the market, then you need to look at the sectors that align with that you want to trade, right? So if we go over to the actual Zillion dashboard, this might make more sense. So here up the top here we have commentary and events. So this is workshops and things that you can take part in as a member. Pretty good. Then we have this market sentiment. So you can see that they have risk on a scale from low to high. They have the overall trend of the market. So you can see at the moment it's sort of kind of neutral but going towards bearish. And then this buy-sell ratio here. And when you click on this, you get much more information about what these actually mean. So the risk utilizes the VIX index to measure the level of risk, fear, or stress in the market. Low means that the perceived market volatility is anticipated to remain in the low range, expect smaller price swings. And then high is perceived market volatility is anticipated to remain in the high risk range. Trend, display the overall market trend of the S&P 500. The majority of the S&P 500 stocks are trending down if it's bearish, and obviously the reverse if it's bullish. Buy and sell ratio displays the ratio of open trade trend to buy trades to sell signals. So this is basically whether like most of the signals that this Zillion dashboard is producing are to the buy side or to the sell side. So obviously sells, there's more open sell signals than there are buy signals. And this is important because this dictates whether you want to go looking for bullish or bearish alerts, right? So this is something that a lot of other systems fail to take into account. So they'll just fire out buy and sell signals, but you want to go with the trend, right? It's what we all get taught as traders from an early stage is go with the trend. So if we're looking to go, like if this is saying it's bearish, and it is towards bearish at the moment, and most of the signals are showing sells, that's a good thing. It says you maybe want to go for things that are short signals to sell, so, you know, to go short. And this also leads into this part, which is the sector performance. You want to be going with really underperforming sectors, right? If you want to go short, and if you want to go long, you want to go with the top performers, the sectors that are really going well. And I think this is a really nice place to start because it starts to narrow down and focus you on trades that are really like most likely to work, right? So you're not trying to go long when the market's tanking, for example. And sometimes these programs, they'll spit out long signals even though the market's not going the right way. So I think this is a really good start to the Zillion dashboard. This idea that you can try to get an overall indication of what sectors and also what the market sentiment is overall. So in this example I'm going to kind of run through, obviously we're kind of going towards bearish here, so 37%, we're almost into bearish territory. I've pulled up the scanner, which is on the left. So this is it's a complex system, but it's also very user-friendly and fairly simple to look at, even though there's a lot of complex stuff going on behind the scenes here. The scanner is on the left here, and it can be sorted by all sorts of criteria. It's fantastic. So you can see the symbols on the left here. I think I put it on to moderate. So we'll talk about how you can basically, again, it's all about narrowing down to get the best probability trades, right? So obviously conservative would be the most safe, right? So I've got it on moderate at the moment just for demonstration purposes, and we can look at some of these different tabs as well. But I've put it on moderate, and so I'm looking for sell signals, right? Because it's sort of a bearish market. So if we look here, these are some of the things that are going on. These are futures at the moment. So the columns are really cool. You've got volume. So you can sort by volume, you can sort by the sell, so these are the signals, right? So these are buy signals, sell signals. These divergence clouds, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and then the stats. The stats are the profit factor. So obviously these are back-tested results. They do a really good job of back-testing, which I'll also talk about in this video as well, which is really nicely done. It's probably the most detailed back-testing I've ever seen in any of these types of programs, so it's pretty cool. So if we click on this one, and click it here, so these are the profit factors, and it starts to basically these are infinite profit factors, and that's because of the number of trades that have been done. So it's kind of weird and misleading at that point. But you look down, you start to see really high profit factors down here. So you'd be looking to potentially trade one of these. Unfortunately, there's no signals on these trades at the moment, so we can click on one of these. I mean, let's look at MFBF, the Bank Corp here. It is a really high profit, back-tested profit factor. So we go here, and then we go to statistics. You can see that there's been 3 trades, all trades total. So one thing you have to remember is that there's very few trades on these things. So this system narrows it down so that you're not taking the same trade on one stock all the time. You're taking it on a bunch of different stocks when the conditions are perfect to try and maximize the profitability. So anyway, so that's an example of, typically you'll see between 3 and 20 trades per stock or ETF or whatever you're looking at. Anyway, the way you use this is if you're looking for sell signals, you click here and you get a range of different sell signals. And these numbers basically say there's one day that this pre-signal has been on. So let's go and have a quick look at this one on the chart on the right. Obviously, this is where all the magic happens, right? And so this one's not a very good example. I'll try and find one that looks a little bit better. Let's try this one. Okay, yes, this one's probably a little bit better example here. So the way the Zillion software works, there's 2 parts to it. The trade trend indicators, which are these little white diamonds and red and green buy and sell arrows. So if we zoom in on some of those, kind of show you here. Zoom in a little bit. So this program is a little different from some of them, at least to the GPS, which is what I'm used to using, in that the white diamond appears as the pre-signal. So this is when they say you have about 3 days before this will go down. And so what happens is it will flash up a sell signal in the scanner, like we are on this one. So we're looking at this guy. So it's saying at the moment there's a down signal on this one. Are we looking at the right one here? Let me just check. We're looking. So it's ARI, yeah. So this is a previous signal, so it's not quite there yet, but it'll flash up little sell signal here, and then it'll confirm the next day. And then basically you have these trailing stops that go down. They're not super clear here. This is one of them, to kind of zoom in. And then this actually stopped out and another fresh sell signal came in. So you can see this worked for a couple of candles. These are daily candles. And then we got another sell signal here. Kind of zoom out. And we've actually just had another sell signal. It's like a pre-sell signal here. And that's why it's come up on the scanner on the left here. It's had 1 day. That's why the little number 1 says like right there. Now the reason I picked this one for demonstration purposes is there's also a good profit factor on it, so it's bigger than 1. So if we go and look at the stats for this guy, so you can switch to the stats here, you can see that overall all trades net profit has been positive. So that's really cool, right? So you can see the long trades, however, have generally been losing trades, and the short trades have generally been winning trades. Now, narrowing this down at this point, you say, okay, well, we have a few things here. We have a bearish market, according to the Zillion stuff at the top here, right? We have the bearish stuff. We have a ticker that has just triggered a 1 day pre-signal to the downside. It has a positive overall profit factor. The short trades historically have worked far better than the long trades. And so that would start to say, well, this could be a really nice one to trade, right? So we are in a weak sector, we're in a weak market, we have one that has a good profit factor, we've got a pre-signal that's still in play, and we have a ticker which backtested over 40 trades has produced a really nice net profit on the short trades, and you can see this kind of visually broken down here as well. And then they go even further than that though, which is crazy. They say, hey, this is a trade performance by weekday historically, so you can actually see which days entering a short trade are the most profitable as well. I don't know if that's useful for me or not. I haven't got that far yet, but I'll keep you guys updated on whether this weekday entry is a good idea or not. So you can see here it also says pending entry 895, so it gives you that point as well. So looking at this ARI is kind of a good point, a good one to look at. And so you can zoom out and see where all the different signals are and how they've worked as well. Now the final thing with this example that I want to talk a little bit about is I'll just keep zooming out here. You can see the different clouds. There's got to be a better way to do this. Let's see where the indicators are. Here we go. So zoom out. Yeah, so you can start to see a bigger section. Now, what's important here is I have it on what they call the moderate section. Now the moderate is different from these two. So if we click on the conservative, you get a different picture. You get far fewer trades, for example, but we still have a sell signal, pre-signal right here, for example, right there. And so if you look at the statistics, you can see how this performed on the conservative, and basically it's really bad, which is unusual. Normally it'd be a lot better because you're being conservative, right? But you've got to check these things and see like what the ticker does in general things. So here's the aggressive one. The aggressive one also doesn't work particularly well from the backtesting either. So for this particular one, moderate seems to be about right. And the way the filtering here is to do with the cloud. So you'll notice we have these cloud signals. So on here you can sort for a red cloud, which is a bearish divergence, or a green cloud, which they're not showing at the moment. I'll show, let's see if we can. Here we go. So they changed it to the green clouds here. So this is me sorting the scanner with respect to the clouds. So in an ideal world, you'd have high profit factor, you'd have the clouds, so in this term the green. So in this market I wouldn't be looking at green clouds, I'd be looking at red clouds. So switch to here and we can go and look at copper futures. You'd have a high profit factor, you'd be in the cloud, right? So a bearish cloud, you want to be in the cloud. Sounds crazy, but you want to be in the clouds. And that's what those like weird colored things are. We switch back to this chart. So for example, you want to be going long in a green cloud, bearish bullish divergence. So you can see these long signals triggering have worked pretty well while we've been in the green cloud, this green cloud right here. And so what exactly are those? Well, let's zoom out. I wrote about these in here in this article. Again, this is in the description below, so you can go through and check all these things out. What I'm talking about here is basically these sections, so explore the market and sectors. So this is giving you the whole picture, remember. But as we come down, I'll start to show you the Divergence Cloud stuff. So it's an important part of this whole system, and something that most of these signals, like these other indicator programs, they don't take it into account. And I think adding this Divergence Cloud definitely adds another layer of basically increase the probability of these trades working out. So here's an example I have here. You got the pre-signal and the actual signal, and we're in a red cloud, and boom, this thing trended down. You can see the little trailing stops here as well, so it tells you each day when to stop out if needed. So if we go down, I wrote about the divergence stuff here. Again, look at the performance statistics. It's always a good thing to do. And here are the divergence clouds here. So this is a sophisticated indicator. I think most people have heard of divergence, but they certainly haven't plotted it in a cloud type of style. And I think that's where this program comes into its own. Zillion combines it with its own trade trend algorithm, which is those little pre-signals and little arrows. And then for bullish divergences, if you haven't heard of them, it's when volatility is low and decreasing, but price and momentum of the underlying is going upwards. So the two are contrasting. And then bearish divergence is similar, but in the opposite, where volatility is high, increasing, and the price and momentum are accelerating downwards. And so you can change the settings So for example, like you can just show stuff that aligns. You can in Zillion Software, you can say, okay, I only want to see buy signals when they occur in a green bullish divergence cloud because they have the highest chance of working in that case. And so it'll exclude, say, a buy signal that occurs in the bearish divergence part here. So really the power of this program is basically it's all about looking at the backtest and stuff, filtering things down to pick the absolute best swing stocks based on how the market's doing, how the sectors are doing, and basically just really narrowing that focus down to stop over trading and to only trade the highest probability setups. Does it work every time? No, there's losing trades. In fact, with these swing trades and most swing trading strategies that, like the PowerX Optimizer by Marcus Heitkotter, they all have about a 50 or 60% win rate, even when you narrow everything down to the best probability trades. And so you have to be able to take, a few trades before you make a decision on whether this is something that really works for you or not. Usually the wins are a lot bigger than the losses. Zillion uses this adaptive trailing stops that I showed you, those little red and green arrows, little lines that appear underneath the trades once they're in play. And try and find a good one. Let's just click on something with a decent one. Let's try ABR here. Select right here, try and zoom in. So what setting are we on at the moment? Let's see. I think we're on aggressive, right? No, we're on moderate still. So you see these little red lines. I'll try and zoom right in. They can get kind of hard to see because of the cloud, right? So we're in this red cloud on this particular signal. So the little signal fired here, it would appear on the scanner. And then this confirmation here, and then see this little red line, it's like barely visible in the cloud, is the next day's candle stop. So you get this trailing stop all the way down here, and it's even visible right there, and then this would be where you stopped out. So the idea is that these adaptive trailing stops would keep you in the trade long enough to maximize your wins and minimize any losses. So these things stay around for a fair bit as well in the scanner, so I think you get like 4 days. So this one showed that like 2 days ago there was a pre-signal, so 2 days ago would be here, and then this signal's already working really nicely here. You can see the trailing stops are just starting to appear on the daily time frame. So this is a good example. This one would have been a good trade. I think you don't want to be getting in now. I think you want to be getting in on this first candle of the day. But that's why it gives you a number, right? It gives you 2 days notice. So you can say, okay, kind of missed this one, but be working pretty well. The only thing with this one is, oh yeah, it's in a red cloud as well. So that's a good thing, a bearish divergence as well. Pretty good. So overall, I'm really enjoying looking at the software. I haven't taken any trades from it yet. I'm planning to use it over the next few months as well. I think it's one of the most powerful swing trading tools that I've come across. I'd say so far, probably on par with Marcus's PowerX Optimizer. Obviously, it's totally different algorithms, quite different with this like Divergence Cloud stuff. Again, it's only really for swing traders. They do have a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is really unusual in the industry, and I really like that. Having a guarantee on a product that I think is $14.97, so typical price point for this type of thing. But having that 30-day money-back guarantee is pretty impressive. I hope I've given you a good introduction to the program. It's fairly easy to use. I think it's good value for money, and my plan going forward is definitely to keep an eye, use some of these things, at least like the market sentiment stuff, as well as double checking trades that maybe I'm entering based on the clouds, the profit factors, and the sell signals from this guy. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, I would go and check out the webinar that's happening this coming week. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go and check that out, get more information and have the chance to ask some questions. I think these webinars are live, so you can ask questions to these guys about their own creation, which is always good. Alright guys, till next time.